Hello friends, welcome to the Movieology channel. Today we'll discuss the body horror movie The Substance, one of the best body horror films of the year. This film was written, directed and co-produced by Qualley Jane. The movie explores how the desire for fame and envy leads to the main character's downfall. The film also imparts a valuable life lesson that we'll discuss at the end of the video. So, without further delay, let's dive into the movie's explanation.
More beautiful, more perfect. One single injection unlocks your DNA, starting a new cellular division that will release another version of yourself. The Substance.
The film begins with a shot of an egg yolk into which an injection is inserted. Following this, we see another yolk emerging from the first one. This scene forms the core of the entire story. But how does this happen? Let's find out. The scene shifts and we see people creating a star known as Elizabeth Sparkle. Elizabeth is a beautiful model and host of a popular show. For some time, people would come to this star's monument to take selfies. However, people's interest in this star gradually fades and becomes neglected. No one bothers fixing it, indicating that Elizabeth Sparkle's popularity is waning. The scene cuts again, and we see Elizabeth Sparkle on her 50th birthday. She has aged, but she is still hosting the same show. After a day of shooting, Elizabeth goes to the bathroom and finds the ladies' bathroom out of order. She enters the men's bathroom, and there goes the show's director too. He's on the phone, saying that Elizabeth isn't the same as she used to be. The show once had high ratings, but now its TRPs are falling. He says it's time to replace Elizabeth with a new, young, and beautiful girl. Hearing this, Elizabeth feels shattered. The beauty she had always been proud of was now gone. She looks in the mirror, noticing the wrinkles on her face. Her fading youth saddens Elizabeth, but now she's also distressed about being replaced on the show. She can't let it go, so she speaks to the director, but he bluntly says, "Look, Elizabeth, I can do nothing to help you. My show is driven by the audience, and I need to give them what they want, which is beauty. And that beauty is no longer in you." The director's words leave Elizabeth devastated. She leaves the hotel, but the director's words keep echoing in her mind as she drives. Distracted, she sees her billboard being taken down, causing her to lose focus on the road, leading to an accident. Miraculously, she isn't hurt at all despite the severe crash. Elizabeth's luck saved her. The doctor discharges her from the hospital, but she breaks down when she sees her picture being taken down from the billboard. At this point, we see a nurse examining her spine before returning her clothes. When Elizabeth leaves the hospital, she feels the nurse left a message in her coat. The message reads, "It changed my life," and with it, a drive titled, "The Substance." Back home, Elizabeth plays the drive, which contains information about a serum called The Substance. When injected into an aging body, this serum regenerates cells, creating a beautiful version of the person on the outside, referred to as the other self. The instructions provide a contact number to order the serum. Elizabeth is skeptical and throws the drive into the trash, but that night she feels the impact of her fading adolescence again, seeing her younger self's photos on the walls. Overcome by emotion, she calls the number to order the substance. The male operator gives her an address to note down, after which she sleeps. The next morning, as she prepares breakfast, she reads an article in the newspaper about her show, mentioning that they are looking for a new host to be the new Elizabeth Sparkle. This angers her greatly. Along with the newspaper, she finds a black envelope with a number written inside. Remembering the address from the previous night, she heads to the location. The place appears simple and inexpensive from the outside, but it is highly sophisticated inside. She enters a room filled with numerous lockers, and each locker, including the main door, opens only with a specific numbered card. 503 in her case. She opens the locker corresponding to her card and retrieves a box she brings home. Inside, she finds 3 sets, a serum with an injection to be used only once, a stabilizer kit to keep her new body stable daily, and a special kit for switching bodies. Later, Elizabeth goes to the washroom and contemplates in front of the mirror, struggling with deciding whether to inject the green serum, the substance. After a moment's thought, she injects it. At first she feels nothing, but then intense pain sets in. Her vision blurs and her back begins to split open. From this rupture, a young, beautiful girl emerges. Elizabeth's new version, a youthful body that came out of her old one. Elizabeth's new version gazes at herself in the mirror, stunned that the serum has worked. She becomes beautiful and young in a way she could never have imagined. After admiring her beauty for a while, she stitches up her old body, keeping it alive with a feeding tube provided by the company. She spends the night reveling in her new beauty. In the morning, she wakes up to find her nose bleeding, reminding her of the activator kit. She recalls that she must inject the substance extracted from her old body's spine daily to maintain the youth of her new self. She immediately extracts the substance and injects herself, feeling perfectly normal again. Now fully prepared, she goes to audition for the same show from which she was dismissed. Everyone is astonished by her beauty, and the director immediately selects her. Elizabeth introduces herself as Sue during the interview. After being chosen, Sue remembers that she must switch bodies weekly. She makes an excuse that she has to visit her sick mother in her village every week, which the director easily accepts. With the job secured, Sue relishes her new role, flaunting her beauty, and quickly gains many followers. Soon, her billboards and advertisements are displayed all over the city. 6 days pass in Elizabeth's new body, and now it's the 7th day to switch bodies. After switching back, Elizabeth attaches a feeding bag to her new body and heads to her show. The director gives her a gift, but berates her, making her feel terrible. The next day, Elizabeth finds another envelope, this time from the company, informing that her new refill kit has arrived. After another 7 days, she collects it and switches back to Sue, enjoying every moment in her new form. Her secret might be exposed, so she decides to break a wall in her home to hide Elizabeth's old body inside. The noise bothers her neighbors, and when one comes to complain, he is too mesmerized by Sue's beauty to speak up. He offers to help, but Sue closes the door in his face and completes her work, creating a hidden room to store Elizabeth's body. With Sue replacing Elizabeth and rising fame, she hides all photos of Elizabeth's younger days. Sue is so absorbed in her new life that she loses track of when she must switch bodies, and the food supply for her old body is almost gone. Returning home, she realizes her nose is bleeding again, signaling it's time to switch bodies. Instead of changing, her greed prompts her to take more of the substance from Elizabeth's body. 7 more days pass before she finally switches back, only to find that Elizabeth's body is now damaged, with one finger badly affected. Due to Sue's negligence, Elizabeth calls the company, asking if there's a way to fix this, but the company replies, "What's done is done. There is no solution." Distressed, she learns that she and Sue are not two separate beings but one, and must proceed cautiously. Later, she visits a restaurant and meets an older man who talks to her oddly. Elizabeth notices a familiar mark on his hand, similar to that of the nurse in the hospital. The man was the nurse's older self. He asks, "Has your new body started feeding on you?" Terrified, she runs away. Back at home, Elizabeth tries to stay happy in her old body. She invites a friend to meet her, dresses beautifully, and applies makeup like Sue. But upon seeing Sue's posters outside, her confidence falters. She ruins her makeup and hair in frustration, sinks into depression, and overeats before finally falling asleep. The next day, Elizabeth switches bodies, but when she goes to the show, a strange bump appears. It was just a dream, yet it foreshadowed her deteriorating physical state. Despite these issues, Elizabeth is thrilled when the director informs her that she'll host the New Year's Eve show, a major honor. Overwhelmed, she accepts, ignoring that the show would require her to be in Sue's body longer than usual. This imbalance takes its toll on Elizabeth's old body, aging it drastically. Upon switching back, she is horrified that she has grown much older than before. With mounting resentment towards Sue, Elizabeth destroys Sue's pictures in her home and covers up the mirrors reflecting Sue's billboards. In desperation, she calls the company for a solution, but they remind her that nothing can be undone. She is given a choice: to live out her life in her old body or to continue switching bodies. Elizabeth, dissatisfied, chooses to keep using the substance and return to her show. As soon as she switched bodies, Sue extracted the serum from Elizabeth's old body and injected it into herself. Elizabeth spent 3 full months enjoying life in Sue's body. But then, one night before New Year's Eve, she realized all her serum was gone. Sue had brought a boy home that evening, but she started feeling her body parts tearing. She immediately tried to extract serum from Elizabeth's old body, but no serum came out this time. Panic-stricken, she called the company and asked, "What I do now?" The company replied, "If no serum is coming out, it means you've used it all up. You will have to wait for the new serum, but until then, you need to switch back to your original body." Upon hearing this, Sue's condition worsened. She reluctantly began the switching process. Meanwhile, the boy heard strange noises coming from the bathroom. Curious, he walked toward it, but Elizabeth's old self quickly locked the bathroom door, preventing him from seeing her distorted body. Elizabeth had grown very old and was nearly bald and faced difficulty to walk. Frightened and overwhelmed, she called the company, saying, "I want to end all of this." The company agreed and instructed her to take the termination fluid. Elizabeth's body looked terrifying. She covered herself with clothes as best as she could and went to collect the termination serum. After getting it, she planned to use it on Sue's body. But then she remembered what the company manager had said. If you inject the termination serum, the body you're currently in will remain as it is forever. Realizing this, she chose not to inject the serum. She looked at herself in the mirror and once again felt hatred toward Sue, blaming her for everything that had happened. She went ahead and injected the serum into Sue's body, but she only injected half of it. She remembered she had a major show to host and would receive an award soon. She wanted to hear the praise she used to receive in the past. Driven by greed, she didn't inject the full serum. She then began trying to revive Sue. She spent a long time attempting to wake her. When Sue didn't wake up, she thought about switching bodies. But when the switch didn't happen, Elizabeth took an activator from her spine and applied it to Sue. Sue became activated, meaning the old and new bodies were now simultaneously active. Sue awakened and realized Elizabeth was trying to terminate her. She was filled with rage. In a fit of anger, she attacked Elizabeth with such force that she finally smashed her head, killing her. After killing Elizabeth, Sue realized she had made a grave mistake. She now had no access to the activation serum. Regardless, she cleaned up the scene and attended her New Year's event. The crowd welcomed her with enthusiasm, and she felt very pleased. But suddenly she felt something strange happening within her body. Her nose began to bleed and she hurried to the bathroom in fear. When she opened her mouth, 2 of her teeth fell out. As she touched the teeth, they also crumbled. She realized that Elizabeth's death had left her body hollow. To stay alive, she needed activation serum, so she rushed home. In the elevator, one of her nails and an ear fell off. Horrified, she tried not to reveal her condition when someone else entered the elevator. Pretending everything was normal, she quickly returned home. Nothing happened when Sue injected the activation serum. She remembered the 2 one-time use serums she had kept and, without thinking, injected both into herself. The moment she did this, Sue experienced excruciating pain. Her back split open as before, and a monstrous hybrid of Sue and Elizabeth emerged. A terrifying creature, a blend of both versions. Sue had become a hybrid. Her mental state was so deteriorated that she didn't realize what she had become, or whether she could face the world. She placed a picture of Sue's face over her hybrid face and went to her show. The picture fell when she took the microphone on stage, revealing her terrifying hybrid face. The crowd saw her horrifying appearance, and everyone started screaming and running away, calling her a monster. One man, out of fear, hit her face with a baseball bat, causing it to fall off, with blood splattering everywhere, filling the studio. As everyone fled, Elizabeth's body broke into grotesque pieces and scattered like worms all over the ground. On the floor lay Elizabeth's face, looking up at the sky and smiling. Then suddenly, her face dissolved into blood. The next morning, the staff cleaned up the scene. And with this final shot, the movie ends. If you enjoyed this detailed explanation, please like the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe.